Hey, it's Isabel Khalili, one of your hosts here on In Our Headphones, and this week we're going to play a conversation that first aired on KEXP's radio show Sound and Vision, which is on every Saturday morning from 7:30 to 9 a.m. Pacific Time. It's hosted by Emily Fox, and this was a conversation with KEXP DJs Troy Nelson, Evie Stokes, and John Richards about the top played albums on KEXP in 2024. So please enjoy. Here is Emily Fox.
Let's start with the fifth most played album of the year. It's the album Poetry from the Chicago-based trio Dehd. Dehd consists of Emily Kempf on bass guitar and vocals, Jason Bala on guitar and vocals, and Eric McGrady on drums.
Every day, every night, I will leave a light on. What you want, what you need, it won't be a problem. Where you at, let me know and follow.
KEXP DJ Troy Nelson has played Dehd the most out of any other DJ at the station. So Troy, what did you think about this album?
Yeah, well, I've been a fan of Dehd for a few years now, and I've loved their craftsmanship with their songs, the way they put together songs. The vocals are just absolutely astounding, but I feel like they completely outdid themselves this time. I have to really give that to the song Mood Ring in particular. The song Mood Ring is not only Dehd's greatest track they've ever recorded, but I want to nominate that for Song of the Year. It absolutely blew me away. It sounds like a 50s song brought to life in modern times, but yet keeping that garage rock aesthetic. It sounds like the Shangri-Las, but today. And so Mood Ring alone, one of the best songs of the year, easily one of Dehd's best songs. But the whole record is great, no matter if Emily's singing or whoever's singing in the band. It's just melodic. I love both of their voices, and sometimes I'm not even sure who's singing. They're just both so phenomenal. They're just one of the catchiest, craftiest indie bands of our time.
Mood Ring specifically was also the sixth most played song at KEXP in 2024. And you're right, there's some sort of throwback vibe. And I was driving in my car this week and I was listening and I was like, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Uptown Girl by Billy Joel.
Absolutely.
Girl.
Yes. I thought the exact same thing, which Uptown Girl is a throwback to the 50s and 60s.
It totally is. Yeah, because I thought that it was a 50s song and then I was like, wait, that was Billy Joel?
Exactly. I love that when artists take a genre that they love and aren't shy from paying homage to it, but also it still sounds like them. You know, I mean, the Ramones were doing 50s bubblegum pop music. They just were playing it really fast with distorted guitars. And if you listen to a lot of Ramones songs, they're like 50s songs. I love when artists do that and they sort of make it their own, but yet you can hear the tribute.
Rock, rock, rock away, bitch. Rock, rock, rock away, bitch. Rock, rock, rock away, bitch. We can get you to rock away, bitch.
Dehd is on an amazing trajectory. And I was excited to talk about Mood Ring. I still think that's one of the best songs in years.
That was Dehd with the song Mood Ring off their 2024 album Poetry. Poetry was the 5th most played album at KEXP this year. And then, coming in at number 4 is Khruangbin with the album Allah SALA. I'm joined by KEXP Drive Time DJ Evie Stokes, who has played Khruangbin more than any other DJ at the station. I also love this album. It came out earlier in this year, and I feel like you and I were both parents of young kids, and I feel like when you're trying to play music in the house, things can get a little hectic. And for me, with a swirling toddler, I just feel like I just want to put on something with like no lyrics, so I don't have like the extra stimulation going on when I also have a toddler like trying to sing and like getting my attention. So this was a perfect album for me that I really loved, especially earlier this year. What did you love about this album?
You know, I had a lot of records like that early in the year this year, and it was because I had this big news that I was going to be getting this new job as the drive time host, and nobody else knew yet, and I knew the announcement was coming out soon, and I felt all this anxiety around it and worry, but also excitement. And there was a couple records that were like that for me, and this was one of them. So I feel like Khruangbin is peaceful, like inherently peaceful for me, but they've never made a bad record, right? They're always this like beautiful, lush, psychedelic albums. And it's something that can fit so many moods. So it could be a dinner party, you could be cleaning your house, you could be taking a long drive, and Khruangbin's going to fit so many of those vibes. But it's also so peaceful, like you said, in the midst of a new job and caring for a 4-year-old and taking care of my family and all those things. This is something that just can keep me a little bit rooted, this type of music. So you described that perfectly. And Kevin Cole said to me once that I like music that has a vibe. That's what he told me. And I think this record fits that description perfectly. It's just a vibe. This is their 4th full length. They've had some EPs. They worked with View Farka over the last couple of years. But this album, the last album that they did, seemed a little bit more upbeat than this one. So this one is like more down-tempo, chill, groovy. And I read that they kind of stockpiled ideas that they had from years past and used those as influences for this record. It was like off-the-cuff recordings, voice memos from live shows, and this is what they came up with. And I think it was really beautiful. And I also read too that Laura Lee, one of the members, took some influence, I think, from her past growing up in Texas. And also, Emily, did you know that Laura Lee is a mother?
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, she's a mother, and she toured the entire time she was pregnant. I think she did like 30 plus shows in heels while pregnant.
God, that's a lot of standing too. Yeah, I don't know how late into her pregnancy she did it, but that'd be impressive.
Yeah, and she toured while pregnant, and then also went on tour again with a baby, and like less than 1-year-old. So who knows? Maybe she also used this record for this sort of vibe that she needed in her household. Speaking of young children and being a mom,
I love that. I love that tidbit of information. And was there a certain track on this album that really stood out to you that you just played over and over again?
Yeah, let me think here. Which one? Let me look at the album so I can remind myself. I should say too, Khruangbin works really well when you're on air as sort of a great way of transitioning from one genre to the next. And I've said this before about other things, about other instrumental artists, because lots of their music can be instrumental, but it's sort of like a palate cleanser, a way that you recalibrate and go easily from one genre to the next. And so I think that's why they get a ton of airplay on KEXP, because they're so talented, because they have such solid, incredible records. But also it's a great way for the on-air DJs to transition from one genre to another.
And be used as a music bed. You can play it and talk over
I know.
it.
I hate to say that because I don't want them to think that I'm not playing their music fully, but it is a good way for me to use it. It's a good way for me to get rotation in as a music bed. So A Love International was the lead single, I believe, from this album. I played that one a ton. I also love Ada Jean. And the song Hold Me Up, Thank You.
And this is Khruangbin. The fourth most played album of the year is their album Ala SALA. All right, Eevee, I'm keeping you here to talk about another album, and that is the third most played album on KEXP in 2024. It was Angélica Garcia with her record, Gemelo. Eevee, you played this album, I think, more than any other DJ at the station. What do you love about this album and this artist?
A few things. I loved Gemelo. I think it's really... It's a no skips record to me. It perfectly blends some cumbia beats, Latin sounds with synthesizers and trip hop. It's basically a blend of many things that I love. And Angélica's voice is so expressive and interesting. Yeah, like I said, it's beautiful. I think from start to finish, there's no songs that I would have skipped past at any point on this album.
Were there any like standout tracks, like tracks that you just like really listened to on repeat?
Yeah, there was. So I would say for me, my favorites are Calor de Dolor. Gemini. And LK.
El que conduce, persigue, use y grite, intenta, lamenta, repite, confunde.
And what do you love about those tracks?
LK was the first single that came out, and it's kind of angry and has this like heavy beat, and you can really feel the passion while she's singing through the music.
And also what I learned about her is, she lives in Los Angeles, and she was raised in California by Mexican and El Salvadorian parents. And was this I think I might have read also somewhere, this was her first album where she incorporated songs sung in Spanish?
Yeah, that's what I heard too. And I heard she did an interview with Albina, live on KEXP with Albina. It was kind of talking about how it felt healing to sing bilingually. And someone asked her in an interview if she thought it was a risky move to sing in both languages on a record. And she was like, I don't really give a like, this is, I'm doing what feels best for my true self and what felt best, like exploring my roots and exploring, kind of like the process of grieving and acknowledging light and shadow between her two selves. So I think that was done really perfectly in this record, and she was exploring those roots. She also talked about, there's a song on the album called Juanita, and she said she was sitting in her room one day and kind of writing and thinking of lyrics, and the song Juanita came to her, and then she was, a couple days later, was talking to her parents, and they said, yeah, remember your great grandma was, her nickname was Juanita, and those lyrics just came to her. So it's a cool exploration of her past and who she is, and this duality within her. So she sings in both languages.
So with that, let's take a listen to a track off of this album, Gemelo by Angélica Garcia. It was the third most played album on KEXP in 2024.
Juanito, 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 ¿por qué me llamas? Todas mis vidas pasadas vienen a por good. A tus pies que tengo de riquezas. Ay, qué coraje encarno cuando suena el dicho. Que estoy puesta en este mundo por tu gusto. Paso tiempo en el infierno. Quiero verte alejarte, Juanito, Juanita.
And now KEXP DJ Troy joins me again to talk about the second most played album in 2024 on KEXP. It was Ibibio Sound Machine with their album Pull the Rope.
Pull the rope. Let's pull the rope. Even though we ain't got to pull the trigger, let's pull the rope. Together we hope.
And Troy, you played this album the most out of any other DJ at the station. What's your take on this album?
Yet another group that just keeps getting better and better, and they just had an album in 2022. So when they already had another album in 2024, I was like, wow, Ibibio Sound Machine is very productive. And I thought, well, was it rushed? I'm always worried about that when an artist releases an album pretty close to the other one, and not at all. They just have so many elements going on with their music, and that's what keeps my interest, and they do it well. They have all these creative bass lines. They have Afrobeat-style horn stabs, and they have chanted vocals, and there's even an element of early 80s UK post-punk, and there's electronic going on. They have all these elements, but yet they make it sound like an original. It's amazing what they can do. And Pull the Rope is just a fantastic album.
Even though we ain't got to pull the trigger, let's pull the rope. Together we hope.
And there's so many songs to choose from. It's kind of like last year with the Say She She record. There's not a bad song. And the same with the Ibibio Sound Machine. You can grab any song, and as a radio DJ, that's awesome because you're not sifting through. You just know you can grab any song and listen to the first 30 seconds and go, "I knew it." It's just all good.
Yeah, and I got to talk to this band earlier this year, right around the time that they released this album, and their backstory is kind of interesting. Eno Williams, who is the main singer, she grew up in London, but her family's from Nigeria. She spent a lot of time there, and so the word Ibibio is the language that her family spoke growing up. I think her mom was also kind of involved in some of the tracks on this record too, and a lot of this record is about like family, peace, and harmony, and kind of bringing people together through music. Just a lot of positive stuff, and it was nice catching up with them earlier this year.
I mean, like the title track, Pull the Rope, it's kind of inviting us all to come together and try and have dialogue rather than be at war, and just try and get everyone together for us to all be on the same page, and still the message of hope, and still the message of being inclusive and bringing everyone together in the world.
Yeah, there's a feel good to their music, and another perfect blend of music that I love is when it's feel good, but yet it also sounds like there's an element of an edginess. There's an element of cool, whatever cool means these days. But I know what it means to me. And Ibibio Sound Machine has that uplifting element, and they just sound so good. And each album does have a standout track. Like that Dehd album has Mood Ring. To me, on this new Ibibio Sound Machine, it's the song Got to Be Who You Are. Another positive message.
From Sule to Isalico.
That was Ibibio Sound Machine. Their album Pull the Rope was the second most played album on KEXP in 2024. And coming in at number 1, the top played album on the station this year was Fontaines DC with their album Romance.
In the modern world, I don't feel anything in the modern world.
Fontaines DC also claimed the top played song at the station this year with their song Starburster.
I'm gonna hit your business if it's momentary business.
And their track Favorite was the 4th most played song of the year.
You and my favorite for a long time.
I'm joined by KEXP morning show DJ John Richards because he has played Fontaines DC more than any other DJ at KEXP. So John, what do you love about Fontaines DC and their record they released this year?
Well, it's such a good story with KEXP as well. I should mention that. Just that we were the first to play this band in the U.S., and they were able to get over here to Seattle many years ago and play kind of a secret show, and we've just been championing them from the go. And so I think there's a little built-in, love for a band that you've listened to over the years, and then you get this record, and it feels like they have hit their stride. Like they have... This was a stunning album for me. It just jumped out right away. And Starburster, again, you mentioned that it was played so much. It is such a unique, such an interesting song. And I don't know about you, but I hear constantly about how rock music and bands aren't a thing anymore. And yet there they are with, bands like Idols and Emma and the Sniffers and, all these other bands. Middle Kids was one of my top records of the year. All these bands out there are actually making amazing music, and I thought Fontaines DC was the best of the bunch. It was just a hell of a rock record, and a very unique record at that.
Well, let's talk about some of the songs that were played the most at KEXP. So Starburster was number 1 played song of the year, and I understand that this song was about frontman Grian Chatton suffering a panic attack at one point, and that's what this song is about. Did you hear that backstory?
I did, and I know they've had to cancel shows in the past, and I know he has struggled with that. And I think if you know that or not, when you hear the song, the emotional weight of that song jumps out right away. And it's just weird. It's just this cool, weird song. I've realized while I was playing it, and I tend to like songs with just, I don't know, like these random noises and unique sounds in them. And this one sounded like no other song this year to me.
I'm gonna hit your business if it's momentary business. I'm gonna hit your business if it's momentary business. I'm gonna hit your business if it's momentary. I wanna talk with a gag if it's a bottle of bag. I wanna strike the side, I need the fans from it.
So the 4th most played song on KEXP this year is Favorite by Fontaines DC. What do you love about this track?
I don't know. It's different than the others. It has a different emotional take than the other songs. I think they all do. I think they all have this unique emotional connection in each of the songs. And Favorite jumped out right away for me when I got the actual record, right? Like I got Starburster, like, oh, what's this record going to be about? And then you have Favorite, which I think is the last track on the album. That's very telling for KEXP, as I'm learning from you right now in real time which songs we played the most. And Favorite makes sense because it just has, it just has this cool vibe that is unique even on this record, full of unique vibes.
Did you know I can claim the dreamer her from a dream. Make her feel everything you've never even seen. Yeah, it's been a long, you were my favorite for a long time.
Well, John, is there anything else that you want to say about any other tracks that really stood out to you on this album, or anything else about Fontaines DC, this record, etc.?
Yeah, here's the thing that jumps out at me, and I think it does because I feel like that could be a song almost any decade. Yeah, it jumps out at me like kind of a 90s kind of rock song, but then I realized the aughts, you could release it then, and I think, well, last 10 years you probably could have released it. And it's one of those songs that it's hard to believe that the song didn't exist before they created it. It just feels like, I don't know, if I had to pick a decade it came from, I'd probably pick the 90s, and their own kind of modern take on a 90s song would be how I hear this song. And it, again, is another one that just jumped right out as one of the songs of the year.
So here's the thing, I know you're watching, I feel the pain, it's mine as well. I know you're right, I know you're right, girl. To be anesthetized and crave emotion, so beautiful, to hurt so well. I know you're right, I know you're right, girl. So here's the thing, I know you're watching.
I've been talking with KEXP DJs John Richards, Troy Nelson, and Evie Stokes about the top played albums on KEXP this year. Those albums came from Fontaines DC, Ibibio Sound Machine, Angélica Garcia, Khruangbin, and Dehd. Here's more of the Fontaines DC song Starburster, which was the top played song on KEXP this year from the top played album on KEXP in 2024.
I'm gonna hit your business if it's momentary business. I'm gonna hit your business if it's momentary business. I'm gonna hit your business if it's momentary. I wanna chop with a gag if it's a bottle of bag. I wanna strike with the sack, I need the fan from it. I want a shot in the dag, I wanna make me mac. I wanna lift the yak, I call the ends on it. I wanna take the truth, whatever lands on it. My God-given insanity, it depends on it. How I feel, how I feel, how I feel. I wanna kill all the hand and never turned up challenger.
That was Starburster by Fontaines DC. Thanks to Emily Fox, host of KEXP's radio show Sound and Vision, for letting us play this interview on the podcast today. Sound and Vision airs Saturday mornings from 7:30 to 9 a.m. Pacific Time on KEXP. We broadcast from 90.3 FM in Seattle, 92.7 in the Bay Area, and worldwide at kexp.org or the KEXP apps. You can also check out Emily's KEXP podcast, which features in-depth interviews with musicians. That podcast is called A Deeper Listen, and you can subscribe now. Thanks for listening, and see you next week.